Joe King comes out on stage and says, "Hello, yes, my name's Joe King. I'm not joking, though I prefer to be called Juris Dr. King. Now, I'm not gay. I'm not very happy, but even beyond that, I'm also not a homosexual. But if I were a homosexual, I don't think I could be the receiver during sexual intercourse because the whole time I'd be worried I was going to shit on the other guy's dick. Because one time when a doctor checked my prostate, he stuck his finger up my asshole, and I started to apologize to him because I thought I was shitting on his finger. Turns out I wasn't shitting on his finger, but I thought I was because the only time the inside of my asshole had ever been touched before was when shit was coming out of it. So when that doctor started to put his finger on those same nerves inside my asshole, it felt to me like I was shitting on his finger. The point being, I wouldn't enjoy receiving anal because I'd feel terrible the whole time that I was dirtying up the other guy's dick with my shit. Anyway, so I went and saw Sarah Sherman of SNL perform stand-up last night. Applause, applause, applause. Okay. She goes by Sarah Squirm when she performs. Perhaps it's kind of like an alter ego, not unlike myself. Anyway, I love this girl. She was amazing, okay? She's Jewish, and of course, I'm unapologetically pro-Semitic. But I'm pretty sure I'd love her still, even if she was a Gentile. Okay? Though I've never heard a woman talk about wanting to fuck her own dad so much. Holy shit, okay? And here this whole time I thought she was a lesbian. But not according to how much she wants her dad's dick, my God. But no, like she did previously on Weekend Update, Sarah made a point to make it clear that she's straight, despite her lesbian haircut. And about 40 lesbians walked out of the show as soon as she revealed that. Okay, if the world wasn't so politically correct now, instead of the term lesbian when referring to her haircut, I kind of want to use the D word. You know, the one that rhymes with pike, bike, Mike, like, kite. Oh, no fucking way. I'm definitely not using that one. Like I said, I'm unapologetically pro-Semitic. Okay, but Sarah was incredibly funny, and she's quite the star in the making, so I'm very grateful I got to see her perform. Although I don't know if I can still look at her ass the same way again after her hemorrhoids confessional. Anyway, as you may know by now, I spent a lot of time claiming to talk to the dead, but I don't think it's all it's cracked up to be. I can just picture some woman thinking, "Boy, I'd love to be a psychic. I get to talk to my grandmother." Until that woman finds out that her grandma doesn't like that guy she's dating, thinks she needs to lose some weight, thinks she needs a better job, tells her that in her day women were barely able to vote, and here she is showing all that cleavage and so on. Okay, as for me, even just thinking about talking to all these dead people all the time, it started to take its toll. When I get cut off in traffic, I start thinking of Rodney Dangerfield saying, "I get no respect." When I watch Succession, I start thinking of George Carlin saying, "It's a big club, and you ain't in it." And every time I set myself on fire, I think of Richard Pryor yelling, "Stop trying to steal my material, white boy." No, maybe I shouldn't say that last one. I wouldn't want anyone to think I was racist. Okay, I don't have a racist bone in my body. But my muscles, that's another story, okay? I see a black guy approaching me down the street. My bones are as cool as cucumbers, but my muscles, those motherfuckers start dragging me across the street. King walks off stage and onto another stage, sits down in a seat behind a desk and says, "Folks, I just referenced him in the monologue. Please give a warm welcome to one of the small handful of greatest stand-up comedians of all time, Richard Pryor." Richard Pryor emerges from behind the curtain and waves at the audience. Applause, applause, applause. Pryor walks over and sits in a seat next to King's desk. King, "Welcome to the show, Mr. Pryor." Pryor, "Thank you for having me." King, "Now what did you think of the end of my monologue there?" Pryor, "I made enough jokes about it myself. I don't need you trying to make a name off my name." King, "Well, the thing is, Mr. Pryor, that..." Pryor, "Then again, that's all you do, ain't it? You trying to show you're Mr. Funny Man, you're using all these dead people as your props." King, "I don't see it that way, Pryor, "You don't see it that way, huh? You just use my name, Rodney's name, and George's name to get a laugh. And this whole show is just you pretending to talk to dead people." King, "Now come on, Richie, let's call me Mr. Pryor. King, very well, Mr. Pryor. I'm just trying to honor the dead is all. Pryor, honoring the dead, huh? Are you honoring the dead by being a white boy trying to voice a redacted? King, now come on, let's keep that fourth wall up, shall we? Pryor, and this isn't even how I sounded. If you're going to be a white boy doing a redacted voice, can't you at least make it a good impression? King, point well received, Mr. Pryor, but I figured since you're here, I'd ask you a little bit about your life. So you were born in Peoria, Illinois, to a mother who was a whore, correct? Pryor, so that's how you're going to start off the interview with me about my life, huh? Calling my mama names? King, I meant no disrespect. According to your Wikipedia, your mom was literally a prostitute. Pryor, okay, so how do you expect me to respond? You want me to start telling you about all the tricks my mom pulled? King, well, no, Pryor. That's right, sir. My mama was a fucking whore, used to fuck redacteds for money. Is that what you want to hear? You want to know how much she charged and shit? How much she kept? How much went to the pimp? Come on, man. King, very good. Now moving on. Pryor, what's the matter, white boy? You don't want to hear about how I saw my mama rip my dad's nutsack off when I was 6 years old? King, good God, no, okay. I was going to move on and ask you about how you got expelled from school in 8th grade. Pryor, well, in grade school, I had a teacher who let me do a comedy routine for the other kids if I got to school on time. But by the time that I got to 8th grade, my new teacher didn't care about that deal that was made and kicked my ass out of school for doing the routines. And I went to work at a packing plant. Okay. And then when you were 17, you joined the Army? Pryor, that's right. Okay. And you were stationed in Germany and you had a little incident? Pryor, well, a white soldier laughed a little too hard about the painful black parts in the Douglas Sirk film Imitation of Life, and me and some other redacteds beat the shit out of him and stabbed him. King backs his seat up and says, very good, so then you were discharged. Pryor, after 2 years in jail, yep. King, okay, thank you for your service, I guess. Anyway, from there you got straight into comedy? Pryor, yeah, I did clubs in the Midwest until about 1963 I made it to New York. And by 66 I started to really make it and was on all the TV shows back then. Ed Sullivan, Merv Griffin, Johnny Carson. King, you were touted as the new Bill Cosby by such show business luminaries as Bobby Darin and Sid Caesar, and other comedians and writers counseled you to keep it that way. Pryor, yeah, don't mention the fact that you're redacted. Don't go into such bad taste. King, Mr. Pryor, I'm going to have to ask you to refrain from continually using the N-word, otherwise YouTube won't keep up the video. Pryor, so you want me to be a good redacted, huh? Just like they did? King, whatever you do, just don't stab me, okay? I've never even seen Imitation of Life. Okay, anyway, there was sort of a turning point in your career during a show in Las Vegas in 1967, correct? Pryor, yeah, during that show I looked out at the audience, and the first person I saw was Dean Martin. Seated at one of the front tables. He was staring right back at me. I checked out the rest of the audience. They were staring at me as intently as Dean was, waiting for that first laugh. I asked myself, who are they looking at, Rich? And in that flash of introspection, when I was unable to find an answer, I crashed. I finally spoke to the sold-out crowd. What the fuck am I doing here? Then I turned and walked off of the stage. King. And from there, your material became more, Pryor. I stopped being a house redacted and started to do my material that matched who I really was and what I'd been through. King, very good. And you created characters like Mudbone from Mississippi? Pryor. That's correct, Mr. King. King. It's actually Juris Dr. King. Pryor. What kind of silly white boy that's a lawyer wants to be called a doctor anyway? King. Moving on, you wrote for TV shows, okay, and won an Emmy for a Lily Tomlin special, and were also in a lot of films. And you also did comedy albums, with your third a breakthrough hit titled, too scared to say redacted. King, now come on, Mr. Pryor. Pryor, you telling me you never said redacted before? King, only when I'm driving. Now moving on. Pryor, oh, okay. So you say redacted when you're driving, huh? You don't like how redacteds drive? We go too fast for you or something? King, look, I was just kidding around, okay? I don't ever use that word, even when driving. Now let's move on from that word and get to your other comedy albums, with the next one being, Is It Something I Said? Followed by, oh, Jesus Christ, Bicentennial N-Word. Pryor, I want to hear more about what words you use when you're driving there, Dr. Man. King, I said that as a joke, okay? Now, you have, of course, hosted my show, Saturday Night Live, but in life, you also hosted Saturday Night Live, where you had an infamous sketch with Chevy Chase using word association. Pryor, Chevy. Now, there was a white boy who wasn't afraid to say redacted. King, oh, God, you then had the Richard Pryor show on NBC that lasted for only 4 episodes, presumably because of language issues, huh? Pryor, yeah, you know how I love saying redacted. King, very good. Now, we're running out of time, so we're going to skip the whole burning yourself alive issue I touched upon in the monologue. Pryor, running out of time? Come on. This redacted wants to hear all about the words you use when you're driving. King, it was a joke, okay? Richard Pryor, everybody. Applause, applause, applause. King, that's all the time we have for this episode, but tune into the next one where we interview another deceased guest. Until then, I'm